So usually when I want to go somewhere, I like to drive. I feel a little bit more in control of the situation, and it works great if I know the directions, if I feel really comfortable about where I'm going. But what happens if, let's say, I don't feel so great about how to get to where I need to go? Or maybe there's just a lot of traffic on the way to my destination. Well, in that case, I usually take the subway. It's this underground way to get to where I need to go without all the traffic and worrying about exactly what I need to do to get there. So how does this relate to the English section? Well, hopefully, we'll go over a lot of skills and you'll feel great about all the skills that are tested for English. But what if there are some things that you feel a little iffy about and you're not quite sure? Well, we've also got some great underground strategies to help you get the right answer, even if you're not sure about the question. In this episode, we're going to take a look at 6 great strategies for the English section. Remember, we did an overview of the English section where we talked about the format and the instructions and the different categories you'll see on the ACT English test. So today, we're going to talk about 6 English strategies, great strategies to help you nail the English section on the ACT. Here's the first one, skim the paragraph. Now this is something that you're going to do if you have enough time. So if you're somebody who really runs out of time on the English section, this is not absolutely necessary, but this is certainly ideal. And what you're going to want to do is before you even dive into the questions, you're going to want to quickly just skim the paragraph and just look for things like what tense is it in, what's the tone, what's the general topic, because there are questions that actually require you to have the context of the passage. Let's look at an example so you see what I mean. Here, we find several large mushrooms growing out of a pile of mud, and you're thinking, cool, we're finding mushrooms. Sounds great. But look at the next sentence. We scanned our field guide to determine if any of them were edible. So if you had done a quick run through, you would see that the tense, right, seems to be past. We scanned our field guide, kind of in past tense, whereas we find is like, we find several mushrooms, totally different tense. Hopefully, if you skim through quickly, you would catch that. So that's the first strategy. Let's look at the next one. Anytime you see anything underlined, ask yourself 3 things. First of all, does this belong here? Is it really irrelevant? Is it redundant? Is it really wordy? Should this underlined chunk even be here at all? Next, does this sound like proper English? These are the ones that you'll really feel in your gut. There's something grammatically just terribly wrong. Any really striking grammatical errors. That's the next category you're going to want to look for. And lastly, does it make sense? Is this really the most clear, concise way to say this? Let's look at an example and you see how these questions come into play. We've got growing out of a pile of mud, we found several large mushrooms, and that's underlined. So we're going to look at the corresponding question. But before we get to that, let's ask ourselves the 3 questions. First of all, does it belong here? Well, in context, we know it does. We kind of need this here because it goes on to say we scanned our field guide to determine if any of them were edible. So we care about these mushrooms. Not much we want to take out of this sentence. So the sentence belongs here. Next, is it grammatically correct? Nothing really screams out at you, fix me, right? So it's grammatically correct. Last question, does it make sense? And these, you guys, are the really, really subtle ones. Does this really make sense? Is this the clearest way to say this? And if you look, growing out of a pile of mud, we found several large mushrooms. It almost sounds like you're the one growing out of the pile of mud, right? So this is actually a misplaced modifier question. And this is how we use our 3 questions as a strategy. Let's look at the next strategy now. When in doubt, take it out. This is huge on the English section. And the English section is much more common to remove stuff than to put stuff in. Remember this when you answer the questions. This is crucial. If you're ever not sure, you're asking yourself, is this redundant? I'm not sure. Is it wordy? Maybe you're thinking, is it wordy? Is it not wordy? Is it relevant? You're not sure. There are very few times in the English section where you're going to actually have to do any mental gymnastics. So don't think too hard. If you're not sure, when in doubt, always remove it. Take it out. Punctuation is a biggie too. If you see commas, if you see periods, any punctuation marks, you're not sure, should they be there or not, always take them out. Let's look at an example. Jordan was furious, when he discovered his band's video had been wrongly flagged on YouTube. So here we go, we've got a comma, and When in doubt, take it out. Let's say I'm thinking, should it be there? Should it not be there? On commas, take them out. Let's look at the next strategy. Choose the shortest answer. I'm going to tell you guys something really cool. On the ACT English, the shortest answer is correct a third of the time. So if you're ever stuck, don't even think, just choose the shortest answer. So here's the next strategy. Don't be too influenced by the answers. This is really interesting. Actually, the more an answer choice redoes the underlined question, the underlined sentence or phrase, the more it kind of does stuff to it, the less likely it is to be correct. So you never want to pick an answer choice that completely does over the original. So let's take a look at an example. Brittany was angry and in a defiant mood when she realized how long it would take her hair to grow back. So remember, we're going to ask ourselves those questions, right? Does this belong here? Does it make sense, right? Is it grammatically correct? And it sounds like there's really a shorter, more concise way to say it, right? It doesn't sound great the way it is. We need to revamp it a little bit. But remember, you don't want anything that really totally overhauls the original. So we're not going to go for any of these answer choices that really redo the sentence too much. And also, by the way, you guys remember, shortest answer, most often correct. So let's look at the answers. We could choose not to change it, but let's look and see if any of these sound a lot better. B, Brittany was angry and defiant when she realized how long it would take her hair to grow back. Not bad. What about C? Brittany was angry and in a mood of defiance when she realized how long it would take her hair to grow back again. See how they just did a lot of stuff to the original? Not necessary. Plus, it's longer. That's a bad sign. Last one. Brittany was angry and defiant when she realized the lengthy amount of time it would take her hair to grow back again. Again, too much stuff done to the original and really long. So that's an example of always choosing the shortest answer if you're not sure, right? It's correct a third of the time. And lastly, never picking anything that really overdoes the original too much. Okay, next strategy. Be comfortable with no change. This is a big one too. I have a lot of students that actually have this fear of choosing no change. It really bothers them. They feel like it's the English section. This is all about English errors. And they just have trouble saying, oh, it sounds fine the way it is. The no change answer is actually correct 20% of the time. So you should have about 15 no changes that you circle in your answer booklet. So as you go through the test, if you're realizing it's been a while since you picked no change, start thinking, maybe some of these should stay the same. We talked about a lot of great strategies in this episode. Let's just recap. First, we talked about how to attack an English passage. We talked about things like skimming beforehand, before you get to the questions. We also talked about those 3 questions you should ask yourself. Does this belong here? Is it grammatically correct? And does it make sense? Then, we also talked about some sneaky things that'll help you if you're not sure how to answer something. Things like, pick the shortest answer because it's correct a third of the time. Don't pick any answer choice that really overhauls the original underlined sentence too much. Last, we did some examples and practice so you'll know exactly what to expect on test day.
By 2. I can't do this with you 2 laughing back there.
Work it, work it.
So if we had, no, that's not right, 3 coplanar points.
So have you ever gotten off an airplane?
That should be less than. Yeah. Dang.
Is it like 500 degrees in here or what?
All right, so when you're in chemistry class, you're going to be doing a lot of work. You're going to be starting over.
So as an example, we could consider like you've got a chain hanging from two fixed.